Good afternoon. Welcome back to Passionate World Radio Network. Distinguish yourself from the ordinary. And today on Lillian's interviews, our special guest is Jean Stone, who wrote the book, The Trump Survival Guide, everything you need to know about living through what you hoped would never happen. So good afternoon, Jean. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I read your book from cover to cover, and it has a lot of useful information. But let's start at the beginning. You wrote the Trump Survival book. Why?
Well, what happened to me, like many people, is the day after the election, I was very depressed and spent the next week just feeling very sorry for me and the country. And then after a week, I thought, well, you know, this really isn't the way to get anything done. And since I'm a writer, the one thing I know how to do is write a book. So I called up one of my publishers and I said, if I can write a book in 12 days, will you publish it before the inauguration? And they said yes, and so I did.
Excellent. So do you know anybody who's going? He might want to hand Mr. Trump this book?
I wish everybody would hand this book to Mr. Trump. He could learn a lot from it,
Do you think if we laid down in front of all those chairs like we used to do during Vietnam to prevent airships from leaving and entering the airfield, that would have any effect?
No, none whatsoever. I'm afraid that things are what they are, and he is going to be the president in a few days, and we have to deal with that. The point of my book is, yes, if you're going to deal with that, then deal with it in a positive and active way. Don't just let these people run all over us. Let's actually stand up for what we believe in and fight back.
So for the first time in a long time, the citizens of the U.S. actually have to act like citizens and do their civic duty to the best of their ability.
That's exactly the point I'm trying to make, is that in a successful democracy, you don't just simply show up at the voting poll or not show up every 4 years. Every day you are part of the democracy, you are a citizen, and you should do something to represent your particular viewpoint. We've had 8 years of moderate liberal administration, and I think a lot of us have gone to sleep. And we have to wake up, and we have to realize that if we don't do something, then something bad can happen to us.
Absolutely. So not taking things for a chance, what are some of the basic ideas that you present in your book that you can tell people in this interview what they need to do instead of going into the bathroom and closing the door?
Well, that's one way to doing it, but what I prefer is that with each one of these 12 issues, I give specific advice, but kind of an overview is what I'm calling Code B, so that I don't have like one of those Rick Perry moments and I forget what I'm talking about. That's my little mnemonic device. And so Code B stands for call. You need to call your local representatives. That's what the Tea Party did so successfully. And there's a template in the book for how to do that in a way that the staff members will pay attention. Organize. Volunteering is great, but organizing is even better. Another strategy the Tea Party understood. It's one thing for you as an individual to do something, but if you can get 10 people together to do it, it's 100 times more powerful. Donate. Money is important, and even if you only have $5 to donate, one of the things that made the Bernie Sanders campaign so successful was so many people donated small amounts, and that was really impressive. Educate. Too many people don't understand the issues facing our country today, and so educate yourself, and even better, educate other people. And the final thing is boycott intelligently. General boycotts of 100 companies aren't going to do any good, but as the Montgomery bus boycott did in the 50s, it helped reverse segregation laws. So I would say that an intelligent boycott can be an enormously successful way to make your voice heard.
And I think people, too, unlike our president-elect, I'm not telling you to go to Twitter and tweet out your guts. And I'm not telling you to be so sensitive that every time you hear a pin drop, you want to ostracize them and say you can't come and protest. But if you say something long enough and loud enough on social media, people will begin to believe it. That's Donald Trump's style.
You got it. That's exactly
right.
right.
You've got to take advantage of the Twitter and Facebook, or come to my internet radio station, Passionate World Radio. I mean, we are the peons of the world. We support the world on our shoulders, not Atlas. So fight back.
I think one of the things that Trump has been doing so successfully is using social media as a tool to basically hide from the real issues. Look, as he's appointing all of these rather frightening people to his cabinet, he's tweeting about Meryl Streep, and the media, instead of writing about his cabinet, responds by defending Meryl Streep. And I think Meryl Streep is absolutely great, but she's not the major issue facing our country today.
No, and all his cabinet appointees either are inexperienced, they don't have political experience, or what's worse, they're all over the age of 70.
They're all over the age of 70, and what I find even worse is that almost all of them are billionaires.
Yes.
They have no idea what the average American citizen has to deal with.
I'm still trying to figure out. I have the urge to go over to those places in Pennsylvania that say that he's going to bring jobs back, and I want to hold their hand, and I say, when was the last time you studied history?
Yeah. It's one of the great American con jobs of all times, getting these people who are truly suffering, who are victims of this particular economy, and getting them to believe that he can bring jobs to them without any specifics, without any realistic plan for having it come true, and yet this is what they wanted to hear. And that's unfortunately what a con man does, is he's able to convince people fiction rather than reality.
P.D. Barnum?
Yes, he
the
comes to mind.
Catholic Church? They held people in sway for over 400 or 500 years during the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
And they just did it with pictures.
And again, this is why I feel my book, The Trump Survival Guide, is so important, because the way you avoid that is by educating yourself and becoming involved. And instead of listening to fake news or false news or Fox News, you actually listen to real news and educate yourself with reality.
Absolutely. I like your book, Gene. I've had my husband read it as well, and we're going to start discussing ways in which we ourselves can do something about it, because I know it only takes a ripple to start a wave effect, and you have to start somewhere.
That's perfectly said. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime. You can have it. Everybody steals my words and phrases.
All right.
Please, go right ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, the real principal thing here is that Gene Stone wrote a book that tells you folks, starting at the very beginning, how you too can create momentum within your community. I know there are a lot of people who are delighted that the Republicans have full control, and that's wonderful. But at the same time, please remember, these are the same people who have no relationship to our reality. They have free medical, and their families get it when they die. Come on. Their families didn't do anything to earn it, but they get that anyway. That doesn't disturb you? Gene tells you what you need to do in order to fix this problem. These folks are going to get rid of public schools? That doesn't disturb you? Well, Gene has a solution for that, too. In fact, Gene has a solution for a lot of things. So you need to go out and read the book. Even if you think the president-elect is a wonderful person, well, let me tell you something. Even God makes mistakes. The Jews never forgave him for the Holocaust, and they had a trial to prove it. So, Gene, please tell everybody where they can find you, your book, on the Internet.
By the way, I think that your radio network, Passionate World, is certainly justified by your passion.
I'm very passionate. Oh, sorry.
It's great. Anyway, the Trump Survival Guide is at Amazon bookstore, independent bookstores, which I love, Barnes & Noble, or they can go to thetrumpsurvivalguide.com and find out more information there.
Terrific. So, ladies and gentlemen, you hear it first. You'll be able to see it eventually at PassionateWorldRadioNetwork.com. Just look for hosts, click on Lillian, and voila, there's the stream. It should be up in 2 hours. Or go over to Twitter.com at Caldwell, CAULDWELL, Facebook.com/PWR Network LLC, or go over to YouTube.com/PWR Network. We're all there, so please go and listen to it, but better yet, go out, buy the book, The Trump Survival Guide, everything you know about living through what you hoped would never happen. And please, just don't stop with this 45th president. We're going to get a lot of different presidents in there. They're not going to serve all the people. You can use the ideas and most especially the information and content here to handle any president that you are upset with. Gene, do you have any last words?
You pretty much have said everything, except I'd like to reiterate, please, if you can, the Trump Survival Guide, go out and buy it.
Thank you. And before we go away, we have a little model coming in from Politics, and Abraham Lincoln said, "And ever this free people, if this government itself is ever utterly demoralized, it will come from this incessant human wriggle and struggle for office, which is but a way to live without work." Thank you all very much for listening, and remember, please keep listening. Thank you, Jean.